Do you remember when you were 5 years old and you'd go to art class and they tell you to make a ceramic animal and you decide, okay, I'm going to make an elephant. But then it would become this weird morphed version of a horse dog thing and you'd think, oh my gosh, I can't believe I made this. And you'd take it home to your parents and they would see it and this look of shock would come across their face and they say, oh my God, this is the most beautiful thing I have ever seen in my entire life. And they would put it on the kitchen table and everybody would see it and you'd be, why are my parents lying to me? Why do they think that I can't take it? You know, I've been lied to by my parents quite a few times in my life. I was 10 years old and I was already about 5'5". I was a giant and people would say, oh, you're wasting your height. Go play volleyball or basketball, do something with it. And I was so unathletic, so I said, okay, I'm going to play basketball because that requires the least running. I soon realized I had every possible defect that disabled me from playing a sport that even resembled basketball. I had a really bad hunch when I was a kid, and I would run squatting, and my feet were out because I had a duck walk, and I would grab my jersey, and I'd run like this. I'd look like I was speed skating, and it was really bad, I'm telling you. We have videos. And instead of gently throwing the basketball into the hoop, I would peg it at the backboard, and I think a couple of times the ball would bounce back and hit a girl in the face. And my mother, great woman, she would stand up every time I got the ball, and she would cheer and she'd say, go, Mona, you can do it! And I wouldn't do anything. I would just throw the ball to the farthest person possible. And my father, who loved sports, he would get so angry, he'd get red in the face, and he'd storm out of the gym and sit in the car because he didn't want to watch. And he'd come back, and he was never mean. He never said, oh, you sucked. He would say, okay, remember, next time when you're making a layup, you gotta dribble, well, not just run to the basket. Or, you know, when a girl's playing defense, don't run away. You're supposed to stay there. And I remember the toughest moment of my career was when a girl accidentally elbowed me in the face and I got a nosebleed, so I lied and said she punched me. So it was kind of embarrassing. But I got to high school a couple years later, and I made my high school basketball team. Well, I made the freshman team, which now that I think of it, is kind of embarrassing because it's the team, it's you suck, but you're okay enough that we're going to put you somewhere. And so I started playing. And this was the year I learned the true definition of bench warmer. In 15 games, I probably played 5 minutes, 6 minutes at most, and I treasured those. Like, they were amazing to me. So, and so I came out of that season more of a cheerleader than a basketball player. So, so it was great. I learned a lot, but I left the season. I said, okay, I got to give this one last shot. So I went to a man named Willie and I said, if he doesn't put some miracle on me, I'm going to quit basketball. I walked into that gym. Before I even saw him, I heard him yelling. And I thought, oh my God, this guy's going to be 6'7", and he's going to have muscles like a bodybuilder. And I walk in, and I see this 5'5", short, little, scrawny guy, and I'm like, I'm screwed. So I'm so scared that I go and I miss a layup, something that every basketball player should be able to do 100% of the time. And he comes up to me, he stands centimeters away from my face, and he yells, you suck. You're never going to be half as good as anybody else in here unless you work 10 times harder. And so other people started crying, or they quit, or they complained to their parents. But me, I stood there and I smiled because I had this sense of finally, somebody was able to tell me the truth after years of fluffing, and after years of fluffing and saying, oh, you know, you'll grow older, you'll get stronger, you know, you just got to practice more. Willie told me the truth. And after 8 months, and I left there and I handed my jersey to him, he said, this is one of the saddest moments of my career because you are the poster child for what I do, because you have improved more than I've ever seen any other child improve. And I felt satisfied. And I was so happy that he told me the truth because I couldn't have progressed. I couldn't have got better with this thought that I suck. But now that I knew I suck by somebody else, I was able to work 10 times harder. And I just wondered, why didn't my parents tell me this earlier? Why could I have not known earlier? Because my mother's #1 rule used to be, never lie. Always say the truth. And I thought, me being crazy as a 5-year-old, I thought, okay, if I lie about even my shoe size, I'm going to get killed, and I'm going to go and get sent to some part of the afterlife where shoe size liars get tormented for the rest of their lives. And I was sure that was going to happen. And I just realized, I wondered, why would they lie to me? Did they think I was too young for the truth? Did they think that just because I was a kid, I couldn't handle it? Well, now I like to think that I'm an adult. I have my permit, so I can kind of drive, and I get paid $1 more than minimum wage. So to me, that's a success. And I remember one day I was at the Sportsters camp where, 4-year-olds are playing basketball and volleyball. And one day we're playing knockout, which is a basketball game, and you all get in a line, and the first 2 people have a shoot off, and whoever makes it first, they keep going. And if the person behind you makes it before you, you're out. And so, luckily, with my amazing basketball skills and the fact that the hoop was 6 foot, tall, so I could touch the top of the rim, I made it in the last 2. And I was with this little 4-year-old boy named Henry, and he was one of those uber competitive kids who were psycho, and if one kid would make a shot in soccer, he'd kick him in the foot and start crying. So I knew I had to lose. I knew I had to stop. So I would stand there and I would hit it off the backboard hundreds of times, and he'd be yelling at me. He'd say, "Try harder. I know you could do it. You're an adult. You just stop acting like you're 3 years old." And I kept saying, "Oh, you're so much better than me. Oh my gosh, I can't do this." And after 10 minutes of the charades, he finally made it. He was making fun of me and laughing at me and saying, "Ha ha, I beat you. I'm so much better." But then I realized I was put in the same situation that my parents had been put in when I was 10 years old. I had automatically assumed that just because he was so young that he couldn't handle the truth, because I thought, okay, I beat him and he becomes depressed and he quits basketball and he never goes anywhere in his life, which absolutely not true. But I realized my parents did it because they thought I was weak. And parents lie to their children because they think we're weak. They think if we hear the truth, it'll just crumble us. And I just don't understand why parents see the necessity to lie to their children.